Second test run today in the North Face Vectiv Pro 3. I'm out in Sandpoint. I'm going up a different hill today. This is the Mickinnick Trail. It's apparently 3.5 miles up, 2,150 feet of elevation gain. Should get another nice view over Sandpoint and the lake over there. We'll see how this shoe handles the steeper ups and downs. Based on at least the first 5 or so minutes here, I think this trip up is going to be a little bit more rocky, a little bit more technical, certainly on the way back down, than Gold Hill, which I did a couple laps up and down yesterday in the Scarpa Spin Ultra 2. Check out that video. I did actually like that shoe, even though I don't think it was as rocky as this, at least early on, but it was comfortable, very stable. Definitely on the descent, felt very comfortable kind of hopping around, different switchbacks, sharp turns, bit of uneven rocks underfoot. This shoe underfoot right now, Vectiv Pro 3, is just an altogether different beast here. It feels so bouncy. It's really like, it's incredible. Very high stack, a lot of it underfoot. A couple of different types of plates underfoot, which I'll get into, but first blush on this run, probably would be better served in a shoe like the Scarpa, especially later on as I'm coming back down, but we'll see. I have Beaverhead coming up, countdown here, I think about 10 days now. If I'm thinking about running in this shoe, I do have to get used to this different kind of ride for sure. The pure bounciness of the shoe is even extremely apparent. Even on the uphill here, I'm not moving that fast, and of course kind of taking shorter strides here, less power in the sense of kind of pitter-pattering up here, but I could still feel the bounce. This should be definitely interesting on the way down, that's for sure. If you did catch my last Scarpa video, I talked about it being a good training hill because you kind of had little sections where you could push the power and recover in between the switchbacks, but there's not too much of that here. I've been just going up and up first 15 minutes here. So as far as stack, I measured 43 at the heel with their specs of 37, 31, had varying degrees of difference for different North Face models. So I added 6 mil in my measurement, not added it, it's actually 6 mil higher in my measurement than what they spec. So 43, 37 total stack here, 6 mil drop. That's right up there with some of the highest stack trail shoes on the market right now. Thank you to Humble Running community for all the comments and questions on my previous North Face videos. It took me a while to get a hold of this shoe, and I don't know, I didn't hear this directly, but perhaps North Face is looking at that and seeing a lot of interest in the content I put out about the Sky 2, Infinite 3, and Endurance 4, so thank you for engaging in all of that content across different platforms. Might have played a role in getting me into this shoe for testing and, you know, bringing my feedback to you guys and gals. Yeah, this is gonna be a beast on the way back down. Way more technical than Gold Hill yesterday. Yeah, almost got lost too. That's what happens when it's all rock sometimes. Take a little hike here to mention the weight, which is a big thing with this shoe. 11 ounces, 312 grams in my typically half size up US 10 across all North Face models for me here. 11 ounce for me in any shoe. Of course, super shoes, even more so. That's up there, kind of on the higher end of what I typically like to run in. A lot of the super shoes certainly sub 10 ounces in my size. This one at 11. It's high, it's up there for sure. It does make me wonder if that could be a potential reason. Maybe some North Face athletes have been actually racing in the Endurance 4 when this shoe is clearly available to them, but I don't know for sure. Just 20 uphill climbing minutes into this run here, and I'm sure that's at least partly a factor. Also, the combination of that, the weight, the high stack, of course, 43-37, and the bounciness. You know, I know right away that for me to feel comfortable in this shoe, I'm not sure if I'll have enough time to properly put the miles in. It's different. You got to get used to this ride here. Moving along with the specs here, I measured 122, 73.92, forefoot, midfoot, heel. The midfoot and the heel measurements are pretty normal, pretty standard, but 122 under the forefoot is definitely wide. That's one of the widest ones, and obviously with this type of stack and bounciness, and also 2 plates in the mix, not just one, you gotta stabilize that, and they definitely went with some width here. Of course, that's adding some weight, but you know, it's a lot going on underfoot. You gotta make it safe. You gotta do something to stabilize it if you do wanna go up that high. Again, 43 under the heel. Compared to the Pro 2, which I raced at Kodiak 100K last year over in California, I think there's a noticeable difference in cushion underfoot, noticeable difference in bounciness. The Pro 2, very dynamic, very stable also. I found that was just wide. The Dream Foam just had a very dynamic feel, not quite bottomless and bouncy like this, just, I don't know, energetic. This one feels both energetic and I would say highly bouncy. One of my impressions of the Pro 2 was that the carbon plate did feel kind of firm. I raced an 18 miler shortly after I got it, and that was fine, but when I went up to the 100K, towards the end of that race, felt like the firmness of that carbon plate started to push up a bit into the bottom of my forefoot. I think they probably wanted to up the stack here, maybe even soften it up to really just eliminate any of that firmness kind of late stages of a race. They were also able to bake in a dual plate here, one kind of TPU type of chassis with those winglets up front that's more stability oriented, and then they were able to separate the propulsion element in a totally disconnected carbon plate. There's definitely a lot more contouring, a lot more wiggle underfoot with this model, version 3 here, as opposed to the 2. I'm not sure if that, separating those plates really adds to stability. I thought that one, version 2, was very stable, but then I guess you had some kind of issues with potential stability being a single plate and, lower to the ground. You could occasionally get your foot thrown a little bit of a tip here and there, but nothing excessive in my testing. I think I had maybe one decent roll in the 100K Kodiak, but that's nothing out of the ordinary. This one here is kind of more contouring under everything underfoot, more kind of molding on top of and around things that I'm stepping on. I don't think that makes it more stable though. It feels more unstable, more protective from impact. Really not feeling anything getting through here. 37 under the forefoot with 2 layers of plates and a softer Dream Foam insert closer to the foot there. So there's really just a lot going on underfoot here. I didn't intend this to be a full A/B test between version 2 and version 3 here, but I think the difference is just pretty striking. Sometimes you expect kind of tweaks between models, especially given, You know, they have this kind of wing setup, similar foam, Vectiv rocker. Two seem to be highly successful, but it just feels so different. You're not really getting nearly the same feel or ride underfoot as you did with Pro 2. I'm feeling a bit sluggish on this climb here, but of course I did 2 laps on Gold Hill yesterday. Pretty solid effort. Also on the descents there. So that's certainly taking a toll on the legs here, but again, 11 ounces here on the way up. It is kind of a lot. I think I'd probably feel better, at least on the way up, with something lighter. I am finding it kind of rolls up nicely on the steeper inclines here. This is definitely the healthiest of the Vectiv rockers up front by the toes. Across the North Face model lineup here, it does let it roll up into the hill easier, you know, than the stack and weight combination might lead you to believe. Well, this is a nice overlook, isn't it? Gold Hill is across the way over there. So in my Scarpa video, I was looking back towards where I am now. Almost completely straight opposite there. Might be close to the top. I'm gonna follow this a little and take a quick peek. Maybe I could actually find a summit over here somewhere. Might have to scramble a little. Yeah, maybe a little. Oh, bird's creaking at me. Oh yeah, not what this is designed for. I'm committed now. When I looked at Gaia before, there's a little bit of a higher peak, but I'm not going over there. This is good for me. Quick close-up stop here. You see how they've adjusted those winglets or winglets, whatever, I don't know what North Face calls them, but they're definitely different here. They kind of, the carbon ones were flatter pretty much right here, and they would tend to flex into the side of my foot. Some runners, to more of a degree than others, I felt it even in my 100K. I would feel it kind of pressing into the side of my foot right here, but it didn't ever bother me. I've seen some people hack them off with razor blades. I've seen, you know, people have recommended that to me, but it never got to that point. In this one, this is part of the stability chassis here. So you have this, it extends back. This is part of it. I believe that's part of the stability part. Definitely, yeah, I could see it actually right here. So they've kind of shifted these little areas away from, at least for me, the pressure point on both sides. I don't feel any of these parts right here getting into the side of my foot at all. I actually don't feel any pressure from the winglets at all. They completely eliminated that. For me, you could see the carbon fiber plate peaking down here, so that's below there, and that doesn't extend off to the side, so you have these kind of wings, especially up front. Again, 122 over here, very wide. This is pretty much standard comparatively to other shoes, midfoot in the rear, this is just overly wide. And this is definitely, it feels like a different formulation of Dream Foam compared to the Endurus, Sky 2, and Infinite for sure. This feels like something different. Those three, I had a hard time. They could have been different, but difficult to tell. This one's clearly softer, and then you could see that yellow Dream Foam insert. You could also kind of see it peeking through there. That's even softer. It's like, I got a picture there, you could see. That's softer right under kind of the middle of the foot, but even the Dream Foam itself is just very, very soft. Very interesting. Flexibility, decent. Again, you have two plates in there, not the most flexible, you know, like the Sky 2, you could really get that one flexing, but decent kind of torsional lateral flexibility. Again, you could see with that softness how it kind of rolls and contours, not so much forward because you have that huge Vectiv rocker here, so, but laterally it does, with the softness and I guess the chassis being more flexible than just a single plate in Pro 2, it seems to contour around, but maybe a little too much with the foam. It's just so soft. I kind of feel like I'm like bouncing off before it gets a chance to really contour and stabilize. Perhaps, I don't know, maybe there's a mismatch between what they want to do with stability and the just softness of the foam. Not quite sure what's going on. I'm gonna head down, so we'll see. I'll definitely have to take a lot more care than I would in my Spin Ultra 2s there. I think this is where I came up, but I don't want to go down that way. Yeah, that was easier. This way. Could have done that close up on one of these benches here, but what fun is that? There's definitely just, I don't know, too much wiggle underfoot for me to run some of that stuff back there confidently and definitely faster than I did there. The feel underfoot makes me very cautious, but to be fair, it's not, you know, I wouldn't necessarily want to, I definitely wouldn't want to take like the Cloud Ultra Pro, even the Tecton X3, you know, those sections at speed, that would be no picnic either. As with anything, it all comes down to knowing your equipment, what you have underfoot, what's the terrain and distance and duration ahead of you. Can you just manage those kind of sections? And then, you know, when it opens up, take advantage of the shoe when you can. And certainly take advantage of that cushion and protection way later down the line in the race when your feet are presumably feeling a lot fresher due to that protection that you get over a, say, firmer and more agile shoe, which would be better in that rockier terrain. So again, a lot to consider all the time. I think another aspect, of course, besides strictly what's underfoot, is the twistiness and even visibility up ahead. You know, a lot of Western trails and two-track and stuff here in the US, big parts even of some of these longer ultras, if it's rocky like this, but you can get fairly good and far visibility in front of you, that's a whole nother ball game then going through these rocks and roots here, twisting and turning, kind of not seeing up ahead where you're going, so it makes it trickier kind of maintaining a speed. You have to be more cautious because you don't know when you're gonna have to make a quick turn or jump. It's just trickier to manage. But honestly, I'm kind of rolling through some of that rockier stuff there. Certainly the cushioning is great. Certainly not feeling impact. Just have to be careful not rolling over an ankle. I think that's really obvious. I mean, probably for any shoe at 43 under the heel. One thing that I was thinking on the way up that I wanted to hold for the way down here is this might actually be beneficial in the sense that it could force me to take smaller steps on the way down, kind of chop it up a bit more. You know, I have been having problems with my quads. You know, a lot of races I've done are definitely more runnable than this, so you end up just extending out those steps and really pounding, and I haven't been so good at pacing myself. I certainly didn't do a good job at Roner. I was about one climb and descent too short in terms of pacing myself correctly for that race. But say if I have a shoe like this, I know I have to be cautious due to the softness, high stack and all that. It could force me to chop up my steps a little bit more, and that could actually be helpful in keeping my quads intact and, you know, muscle damage at bay for late stages of a race. You know, I got Beaverhead 100K. I forgot what the time is going to be. You know, it's going to be at least 12 hours. I don't know what, something like that. But that's also a consideration. Managing my quads throughout the race. It's certainly rocky like this. I don't recall it being as twisty and turny as this. It's kind of more like straight shot rocky. So I'm still, you know, I'm not ruling this shoe out. I want to take out the Tecton X3 on this trip, maybe in something similar around here, or maybe in Missoula, and then really probably make my decision based on that. Thinking about Beaverhead specifically, that race, of course there's climbing in all these kind of races, but it starts up high on the Continental Divide. I think the entire race is above 9,000 feet or something like that. And you stay up high most of the way until kind of crazy final descent to the finish, but not a huge amount of climbing. I was talking about this shoe feeling a little bit heavy. I mean, it is a bit heavy, it's 11 ounces, but I think that course kind of more or less rolls along. You don't have like some of these 5, 6, 7 massive climbs like some of the 100-milers around here in Idaho. So if it's the case, I gotta look a little bit closer at the profile. If I feel like, you know, the kind of sluggishness going uphill will be less of a detriment than what I'm gonna get in foot protection, because that's a major issue in that race. I'm really thinking about keeping my feet intact throughout that race. So yeah, if that balances out in a positive favor in terms of protecting my feet, I could still, you know, see myself choosing this shoe over something even an ounce or even an ounce and a half lighter. Last year in that race, I wore the normal Chirac ones, and I don't know what I was thinking. That was a terrible choice. My feet got destroyed in that race, so it's like I'm in a sense traumatized in regards to foot protection for that specific race. That has me leaning towards picking this shoe, honestly. So if I do have to just kind of pick my way through stuff like this, that might not necessarily be a bad thing. Little shorter steps, spread out the muscular impact. That could also be beneficial. I know professional runners are pretty awesome, but this shoe and something like this, I don't know. Who's bombing down through here in this shoe? Oop. Sure, a little faster than me. I do have the La Sportiva Prodigio Pros back in the bag. I think that would be a shoe that would just crush going up and down this hill for sure. I do have to note that I am getting very positive foothold and security from the upper of this shoe here. A lot of the North Face shoes are like that. I just feel totally strapped in. In some of the other reviews, I talked about how the Vectiv rocker does tend to push up into the arch, and I think it really seats the heel really well and really locks the shoe into the underside of the foot. That's a little bit less apparent here just due to the softness and the bounce. I could feel a similar kind of rocker and contouring, pushing up kind of in the middle of my foot. And it does give me, like I said, positive feeling of security. But I think with this softness and this height, it's just like, it's a lot to manage. Just very hard to completely lock the foot down with this setup underfoot. I just think it's not the upper that's any kind of issue here. It's just you're really dealing with the softness and the stack height. Curious to kind of have this up against the Tecton X3. I feel like this one may hold the foot better. It certainly holds the foot better, the upper itself, but I don't think the Hoka's Piba is as soft and bouncy. It's also not as high as this one, so it's kind of one, what do you call that? 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, something like that. They're kind of dealing with different underfoot platforms and doing the best they can. You could see, you know, at times the shoe does kind of want to open up. If I can get past these rocks here and get to some runnable sections. Oop. Road traffic, trail traffic. It does want to open up rather quickly and get up to speed. And I actually do find that a couple quick steps and I'm going once I find some open space. Check out my race video from Heaven's Gate with the Sky 2. Certainly with that shoe on foot, I'd be way more agile, more confident, quicker hopping here and there, but I would be feeling it on this downhill with the underfoot protection in that shoe. That's like short distance, all out, and deal with the foot impact later, or you know, keep it to a minimum at a shorter distance or duration race. This one, you're expecting these to be on foot for much longer than something like the Sky 2. It does go without saying, strong ankles recommended for this shoe here. So that's a wrap on second run in the North Face Vectiv Pro 3 here. If I do choose these for Beaverhead 100K, the next video you see on this probably include a good amount of race footage and review aspects, of course. I'm not shy about testing out new shoes and taking chances, reviewing and stuff while I'm racing, so I hope you enjoy and appreciate that. Please support the channel by liking, subscribing, following, all that good stuff. I have affiliate links to the full North Face model lineup down below in the description. So if you like any of the North Face shoes from one of my previous reviews, or this crazy wild up and down Pro 3 review has you itching to check these out, just click through my affiliate links. It helps out the channel, doesn't cost you anything, just a way to support the channel. Again, thank you very much for watching, and have a great day out on the trails. There's plenty of space within the forefoot here. I've got US 10 again. Always wear 10 in North Face. You can see my foot moving around in here. That's fine. The upper holds it well. If you have a wider foot than me, I don't think you'll have any issue. Again, I have some movement there, and I don't really lace it that tight at the bottom. It holds well enough for me. Probably might look visually very pointy, but again, I think if you properly size, and for me that's going a half size up, my toe is right here, so even then it's not even a full thumb's width. But again, you're losing some kind of forward space due to the rocker. The front rocker definitely kicks up here, so even though I'm really not a full thumbs here, it's effectively, you know, if this shoe was more flat in the front, it'd probably be closer to a full thumbs width. That being said, similar to other Vectiv shoes, I feel the bottom here pressing into the bottom tips of my toes. If that's not something you're used to, that might be a little kind of startling at first. With the North Face shoes, with the Vectiv rocker, that's kind of how they are. A lot of them, I think this one is the most prominent of all of them. Like standing or even sitting here, I feel it pressing into the tips of my toes there. That doesn't cause me an issue. I've never gotten a blister or irritation from that. It's just a kind of a feeling that is different than other shoes and something you probably have to get used to. But again, for me, a half size up, whatever you're properly sized in, you want to make sure you have some space ahead of here. You're already kind of pre-flexed with that rocker, so perhaps you don't need a full thumbs width. Maybe you can go 3/4 or 2/3. Probably I got 3/4 because it's already up a little bit. A lot of shoes, you know, you want to have that full, because when it does flex, you get closer to the front. Here you're already flexed a little. So again, I don't have any narrowness here at all. This is plenty spacious. All four of the North Face models that I have now, this one, Sky 2, Infinite 3, Endurance 4, all three in a 10, all three totally fine fits for me. Good width across the forefoot, not too pointy up front.